Welcome and good evening. Welcome to the Worthington City Council 2024 Forum or Debate to decide our future City Council members. We're going to start off with opening statements of up to 2 minutes, and we're going to start off on my right with Mike Cooley.
Good evening. For those residents that do not know me, my name is Mike Cooley. I want to first thank you to Forward Worthington and the Governmental Affairs Committee for hosting this very important event. My family has been in Worthington since 1977. My wife and I still are live over by the lake, so I feel that my experience on City Council and as the mayor will help me to improve Worthington for our residents. Also, having served on most city committees and involved in 16 yearly budget decisions, this experience gives me the knowledge to do the job. During my tenure on City Council, we developed two very successful half-cent sales tax initiatives that greatly improve Worthington. I want to help improve Worthington in a common sense and fiscally responsible way. Thank you for your consideration of my candidacy.
Thank you, Mike. Michelle Evers.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Michelle Evers, and I'm truly honored to be here with you and other candidates tonight. I am the proud daughter of Maynard and Janine Townswick, who instilled in me the values of hard work, integrity, and community service. These principles have guided me throughout my life and career and continue to inspire me every day. I earned my Bachelor's of Science degree from the Minnesota State University Mankato, and later I completed my Master's of Business Administration degree at the University of Sioux Falls. Over the past 10 years, I've worked in local government, focusing on leadership, strategic planning, and budgeting. These experiences have given me a deep understanding of the challenges and opportunities that our community faces and have reinforced the importance of thoughtful, data-driven decision-making. I'm also incredibly proud to be the mother of two wonderful daughters, whom I raised in Worthington. Their achievements in business fields and their drive for constant reminders of the importance of education, dedication, and staying connected to one's community. My roots run deep within Worthington and the surrounding area, as I have many family members who live here. I'm running for City Council because I believe in the potential of Worthington. Our city is filled with incredible people and opportunities. But to realize this potential, we need to focus on a few key areas. First, we need to prioritize fiscal responsibility. As taxes continue to climb, it is crucial for our city to manage its finances diligently, ensuring that taxpayer dollars are spent wisely and strategically, investing in areas that will benefit our community now and in the future. Second, we need to attract more businesses to strengthen our tax base and diversify our local economy by creating a business-friendly environment. We can encourage new investments, support local entrepreneurs, and generate more job opportunities for residents. Finally, there is a pressing need for entry-level housing in Worthington. As our city grows and diversifies, it is essential to ensure that quality, affordable housing is available for everyone, whether they're young professionals, new families, or seniors. Expanding entry-level housing options will help retain and attract residents, ensuring that Worthington remains a vibrant and welcoming place to live. Thank you for the opportunity to talk to you tonight. I look forward to engaging with you as I continue to meet with residents door to door, visiting my campaign page at Michelle Evers City Council Ward 2, and participating in the community outreach survey created by our committee. I'm excited to connect with each of you, hear your stories, and work together to make Worthington the best it can be for all of us. Thank you.
Thank you, Michelle. Eugenio Lopez.
Thank you. Good evening, everyone. My name is Eugenio Lopez. I was born in Jackson, Mississippi, but when I was a year and 6 months old, my family moved to where I've been the privilege of calling Worthington my home since then. where I graduated at WHS Worthington High School class of 2022, and currently attending at Minnesota West and working at Kivu Immigration Law Office as an executive assistant and payment specialist. Now I'm currently 20 years old and the cusp of turning 21 just 2 weeks before the election. I've proudly been a resident of Ward 2 since 2016, or since I was 12 years old. I'm running for the Ward 2 City Council special election because I want to give back to the community that has shaped who I am. Worthington has taught me the values of respect, hard work, dedication, and there's no place I'd rather call home than Worthington. As part of it, I'm running in maintaining fiscal responsibility, supporting our small businesses in our local community, meeting the needs of housing in Worthington, support construction of a new ice arena here in town, and promoting innovation to secure a brighter future for Worthington. Worthington has a tremendous opportunity to become a true hub in Southwest Minnesota. By collaborating with local leaders and focusing on growth, we can build a prosperous future for all residents. I am committed to making Worthington a better place for future generations, and I look forward to answering your questions tonight. Thank you.
Thank you, Eugenio. Eugenio, Michelle, and Mike are running for Ward 2 seat. There'll be one seat available for the three of them, so they're competing for that seat. The other three council members are running unopposed, but they were gracious enough to attend tonight. We're going to focus most of our questions on the three candidates vying for the one position, but we'll start with some opening statements, and they'll be able to voice in on other comments if they choose to. So, Chris, if you want to start off for us.
Thank you, Mike. And thank you for hosting tonight. Thank you to Forward Worthington again for sponsoring this event for us, so you can get to know us and know where you can find us. I'm a lifetime resident of Worthington, was born and raised here, went to school here, and I call this wonderful city home. I'm the current council member for Ward 1, have lived in multiple areas of Ward 1, and know what it is to work hard, to make a living, to pay for a house, which pays for our streets, for our lights, our water and sewer, and all the extras that come along with the city of Worthington. And whether it's the JBS Fieldhouse, it's the pavilion downtown, or even as we're speaking about a new arena. All assets to our community, all benefit to our community and to our future. Anyway, it's been a privilege to serve you the last 4 years, and thank you, and I look forward to serving for another 4 years.
Thanks, Chris Kielbach. Dennis Weber.
First, I want to thank you all for coming. My wife and I moved to town, the city of Worthington in 1975. I spent 45 years with Consolidated Co-ops, New Vision Co-op. 43 of those years I was agronomy manager. I retired in the spring of 21, and I've always had interest in city government, but now in retirement I have the time to dedicate to the council. I believe in transparency and fiscal responsibility, and I want to see Worthington continue to grow and prosper.
Thank you, Dennis Weber. Amy Ernst.
Good evening, and thanks, Mike, for having us here tonight, and to Forward Worthington. I am Amy Ernst, Ward 2 member, and running for the third term city council member. I appreciate all of you coming. I appreciate the fact that we get to live in a great city of Worthington here. What an opportunity we have to live by this wonderful lake. We have a great trail system, a lot of amenities, the updated parks, great schools. We just are really lucky to live in a town such as Worthington, and it's my goal to make sure that it is a great place to live, a place where people want to come, want to stay, want to raise their family. So that's essentially what everybody wants to do, is have a great place to live. So I have lived in or around Worthington since 1986. I've worked for the Worthington School District since 1988, so for 37 years as the IT director. So looking forward to working more with everyone on the council and just making Worthington a better place to live.
Thank you, Amy. We'll go back over to this side, and we're going to start with Michelle Ebbers this time with our first question for the evening. We'll try to limit the questions to 1 minute, please. What do you view the city council's role to be?
Absolutely. I think that the city council has a variety of roles. I believe that they are responsible for setting the vision for our next years to come. And I also believe that they need to be fiscally responsible about this vision. What are we doing with taxpayers' money, and making sure that we are accountable to our residents. And finally, it's going out to meet our residents face to face, door to door, ensuring that we are voting upon their opinions and not our own. Thank you.
Eugenio.
Part of it is infrastructure. It's important to maintain a better city by infrastructure. Second is talking to our residents, seeing what is the needs of Worthington and fulfilling that for the better future of Worthington. Seeing what kind of amenities that we can attract for younger generation residents here in Worthington. And also, as mentioned, maintaining fiscal responsibility. Maintaining that would be an important value for Worthington and for future generations to come.
And Mike Cooley.
Thank you. You know, I view the role of city council as one that helps to improve our housing stock in Worthington. Right now, that's a big need for our businesses, for any hope of expansion in this community by some businesses. We've done a great job at providing the recreational and park systems and things like that. So housing for me is a big role. I think economic development, the city has a big role in that as well. We don't have anyone in town that their only job is economic development. So, you know, that's going to be a big role. We have the other policies, tax policies. We got to make sure we keep our taxes as low as possible. We're so close to Iowa, we're so close to South Dakota, so we got to keep our eyes on that tax levy. So I think tax policy and those types of things are good for Worthington. Thank you.
This time we'll start with Eugenio Lopez. The question is, what are strengths the city of Worthington can leverage?
It would have to be in regards to, as mentioned before, like amenities. I think it's important for the strength for the city of Worthington, providing those for the future workforces of younger generation residents to maintain residents here at Worthington. You know, it is just important to not only that, but also, as previously mentioned, you know, infrastructure, housing. The housing need is important, especially when it comes to rent. Rent is important and vital for our young workforce who wants to live in Worthington, but unfortunately is not able to find housing. Would have to rely living in like places like Laverne, Jackson, Fulda, Sibley, types of places. So it's important in the strength to have a better housing market here in Worthington.
Mike Cooley.
No, thank you. You know, I think the strengths of Worthington is really the quality of life that we have here in rural Minnesota. We've got a good school system. I believe we have a low crime rate. I know at one time we were one of the lowest in the state, and you know, and that's even when we talk about our diversity, we have a high diversity here in town, and that's a strength of Worthington. That brings workers to a lot of our businesses, and I believe that we're lucky to have diversity in Worthington. So I think quality of life, I think the diversity is a big challenge. I just think that's good.
All right. Michelle Ebbers.
Absolutely. So I have to start out by saying our Parks and Rec. So I have been very fortunate to be part of Early Risers Kiwanis. in Worthington, and we have made the all-inclusive park as well as the all-inclusive knockdown. And I think that really helps residents within our community feel welcomed and feel all-inclusive. I would also say that we're having businesses step forward and assist with more things. I just recently heard that one of them was thinking about helping with daycare. So they really are listening to the issues that are happening within Worthington and stepping forward to help. I'm also very grateful that even at the city council meeting last night that I was able to hear that more businesses are being attracted to Worthington and coming here. I think that will be a great asset in the future as well in order to help support our tax base. Our schools, again, as Mike mentioned, I think they're doing well and appreciate what they have to offer.
Yeah, we'll go back to Mike Cooley. First of all, though, in the audience, it's great to have a good audience here tonight. We know Cable 3 folks are watching as well. It's a busy night, but we do have room for more questions. So if you want to submit your questions or something specifically you want addressed, just raise your hand and Kenny Jansen will come by and pick up your question and we'll try to get it asked. So Mike, the next question starts with you. A minute ago, we talked about what strengths can we leverage. On the opposite side, what challenges face the city and maybe specifically the city council, perhaps excluding housing, which has come up a lot already?
Housing has come up a lot, and it's very important. It's very important to our city to expand. In talking to one business owner, he said, we've checked all the boxes when it comes to quality of life and school systems and parks and recreation, but we just don't have the housing. I believe economic development is a big issue for the city, and the city has to play a stronger role in economic development. We have to make sure we're leveraging all our partnerships, whether it's local partnerships, whether it's regional partnerships, or even the state. We need to leverage those to enhance economic development in Worthington.
Thank you, Mike. Michelle Evers.
Certainly, I think one of the things is fiscal responsibility. Housing, I would agree with Mike, is definitely an issue and one that I have heard. People not being able to bring people to town due to the lack of housing. However, I think more importantly than that is the fiscal responsibility. There was a 15.44% increase that was voted in 2022 that we had to pay in 2023, another 14.21% in 2023 that was voted on and implemented in 2024, and now just this last meeting, there was another not to exceed levy of 18%. I think people that I've seen door to door, the number one concern that is coming up routinely is taxes. People simply don't have the ability to continue to pay the higher taxes. In 2022, the American Community Survey, the median family in Worthington was quoted as being $58,690. We simply need to be fiscally responsible and ensure that we're being strategic about our spending.
Eugenio Lopez.
Thank you. One of the things I see is that we need to provide amenities in the city of Worthington. We are doing great when it comes to renovating our parks and the lakes and within our neighborhoods. At the same time, our infrastructure has been improving significantly in the past few years. But also what I see is economic development, especially when it comes to small businesses. I believe it's vital that the city is important to strengthen those current small business owners and attracting businesses here in Worthington. And that's if we were to providing working with our state federal grants, working with organizations to provide those tax abatements and type stuff like those. Housing is one of the most important things here in Worthington. People want to buy homes. Unfortunately, homes are not affordable as they were back in 2016 and before COVID. So providing those rental needs, especially building apartment complexes, would be very essential to help for future generation growth in Worthington.
Thank you. Mike Cooley, just a 30-second response, please.
Okay. I just want to respond to that. The budget, they passed a not to exceed 18% increase But there's a lot of work to be done. I expect that number to be brought down. There's a couple of factors that they still don't know about. Insurance rate increases, we won't know that for a while. All 3 union contracts are up. But I think a better thing that we should focus on is more on our effective tax rate. You know, we can pass a 10% increase in the levy, but that doesn't necessarily mean your taxes are going up 10%. It's the effective tax rate that we have that, drives that. And our effective tax rate, I have a deal here, we're in the middle. We're at 55%. The top ones are up close to 80%. And these are communities within Minnesota that are near our size. So we should focus on the effective tax rate and not necessarily the increase in the tax levy.
Michelle, you're up next. The question, folks, is if you know a city employee is biased or there's an issue with the city employee, how would you move to resolve that? Michelle Evers.
I think anytime that you have an employee who is biased, I believe that you need to bring them into your office or to a place where you can speak with them. What may come across as bias in one area may not actually be bias. It may be something else. You need to be able to hear both perspectives and make your decision upon that. Should it come to something that is actually biased, then there's something that needs to be done about that. But you truly need to get the full story and the full picture before making action.
Eugenio Lopez.
It would be like going through the city handbook. So, when employees at the city of Worthington would receive a handbook, and you would have to go into the section area in regards to if they are being biased. So we'll talk to the HR, see what's going on with that issue, and then addressing that need is important. Understand why are they feeling that type of sense of opinion, like expressing it in a matter that maybe most employees don't want to see, but it's just to make sure that we understand what is causing it, and then how we can address it in a very respectable manner.
And Mike Cooley.
What was the question exactly again?
Let's see. If you know a city employee is biased or has other issues, how would you resolve that?
Okay. I come from a time on city council in the beginning when, we didn't have a city administrator. Then we had one, then we didn't. We were kind of bouncing back and forth. I believe if a city council member has an issue or he feels there's bias, he needs to go straight to the city administrator. The city administrator needs to deal with the situation. I've seen it, it's not a good situation if you have 5 different council members, going out and talking to different employees. We should always go through the city administrator and let it come down. And the city administrator should get back to you, to help resolve the issue. Maybe could be a meeting between you, the administrator, and the employee. So, thank you.
Thank you. Eugenio, you're first this time. Let's see. Would there be any specific project, again, we've talked housing, but it may be a special project that you'd like to see happen in the city that's either been discussed or maybe hasn't been on the table yet?
So one of the things I've been looking into, what the city has been doing is actually when the first discussions back in December of 2022, they were planning to build a 51 apartment complex unit, west of the Puppy Park on First Avenue Southwest. They specifically allocated $1 million budget, to see, building those important apartment complexes, and at the same time, Great Life Golf Course is building a 49-unit apartment complex that includes studio, 1 or 2 bedrooms. Those are the things that I haven't seen much of movements or any news related in regards, and I hope that we can move that forward in addressing those rental needs, especially for the city of Worthington.
All right, thank you. Mike Cooley?
I'm just going to throw this out there. I'd like to address the ice arena in this community. I think a lack of a quality ice arena for many reasons are not good for the community. Recreational ice skating gives our youth and other residents a great activity to explore in the wintertime. For hockey programs that primarily serve the youth in our community, a new arena would help growth of this activity. It could also bring tournaments to town. The current facility is very inefficient and is expensive to maintain. The age of the facility is far beyond its useful life. The cooling and freezing system beneath the floor of the ice could fail at any time, and then we're out of business whether it's in the middle of a season or not. But for me to vote for an arena, I would need to hear a lot from the community members. I would like to hear that. I would like to hear our partners that are available, whether they're local, whether they're regional or state partnerships or grants. But just as important as building this arena, we need to have a sensible plan to pay for ongoing maintenance and management of the facility. And until those two questions are answered to me satisfactorily, I would have a hard time voting for the ice arena at this moment.
Michelle Evers.
I think I'll start saying that one of the things that we really need to focus on is business. I know that the small business world is the backbone of our economy right now, but we must bring in large business as well. Bringing in large business is the only way, as Mike was referring to the ice arena or other amenities, that we'll be able to have the tax base that will provide us the opportunity to have some of these amenities within our city. Must have the tax base, and in order to do that, must bring in large business. Will also provide our residents with a variety of shopping experiences that currently they need to go to Sioux Falls, Mankato, or other areas for. So bringing in big business, staying away from housing, that topic would be what I would recommend.
Very good. Mike, you're first this time.
Okay.
Does the city council have a role in noise ordinances or other noise reduction?
Well, the city council certainly has a role in those. You know, the complaint should come in through the Traffic and Safety Committee. And then whatever they think as far as ordinances or any changes that might be needed to the zoning laws, that could then be brought to city council level. So I would say that it needs to first go through Traffic and Safety. Thank you.
Michelle Evers.
I agree that there is an avenue in which to pursue this. Oftentimes, police are called out to the home. That's the first entry point. It makes its process and then eventually makes its way to the city council. I would say this is likewise with animal control that we have seen recently, and there's a process for that as well. I think that there's entry points for all of these things, and that it eventually, yes, it does make its way to the city council, and it's up to the city council to ensure that what needs to happen does go forward.
Eugenio.
I believe it's really important, especially in the evening and the nighttime, where there are quite a bit of parties going on, and then and except for noises. So it's important that we do have providing city ordinance in regards to noising. I live on Bristol Street, and close by there's an event center right there, and sometimes when there's an event going on late in the evening hours, you can hear it from within a half a mile radius. So it's important to see what the city can specifically do to respect other people's especially sleeping time. We have other responsibilities, stuff like that.
Very good. Michelle, you're first this time.
Okay.
I'm going to combine two questions. How would you plan to seek community input? But also, city council requires significant time commitment. How will you balance that time commitment of seeking input, attending meetings, and your normal life?
Absolutely. So I would continue doing what I'm doing now, going door to door, listening to people personally. There are opportunities for open forums, but I see that there's a lot of less participation when you ask people to come to you. I think it's extremely important to see people face to face, get their opinions, get their experiences, and be able to build off of that. As far as ensuring that I have time available to attend meetings and attend the necessary commitments of this position, the first thing that I did do is go to my employer, speak with them, get their full commitment and their full support before making a choice to submit my application.
Eugenia Lopez.
First off, sorry, excuse me, a little nervous today. Talking to people, it's important that we go to them. You know, it's hard, especially with a diverse community, that many people come from places that, you know, normally that government people don't often reach out to them. So it's important that we go to them. If we expect them to come to us, not a lot of people will come to us. It's important that we go to, like Michelle mentioned, like going to door, talking to voters, talking to people. And at the same time, you know, for me personally, would have to talk to my employer, seeing if, you know, we can accommodate my schedule. You know, I'm a full-time student. I have a full-time job. And so for me, I can still continue to balance it, even if it means sacrificing some areas in, you know, personal life, like, you know, watching Sunday Night Football, stuff like that. But at the end of the day, the city of Worthington, you know, in my personal view, is my top priority.
Mike Cooley.
Well, it's very important to reach out to the community, reach out to the different groups in our community, whether it's part of the culture, diversity. You know, the Ministerial Association here in Worthington, you know, I'd spearheaded a meeting with them along with the police department back a few years ago I was concerned about violence and things like that. And so, you know, I brought along Kevin Flynn at the time, and we met with them, and they liked that engagement. So the more that we can reach out to these groups, it would be beneficial at the least. As far as time, being retired, I have a lot of time on my hands, so I would be out reaching out. I like to visit with other mayors in our area of the state, because a lot of their problems are the same problems that we're having. So anytime we can work together and go with one message to the state is good. Thank you.
All right, Eugenio, let's see, you're first this time. So the question is, why? Why interested in running for city council?
I've always been interested in city government since I was around 4 or 5 years old. It first started off when my mother was reading, you know, George Washington book. And then after that, she got me a book of like what is politics. It's just very like a children's version at a garage sale. And then she was reading it to me. A mother who comes from a country that doesn't didn't understand what is government, and who taught to me civic values. You know, the city has given me so much, and I want to give back to the city. Yes, I know that I am young. Yes, I am inexperienced, but I do love this city, and I love this community very much, and I want to see this community striving forward for the future.
Mike Cooley.
The best part of the job on city council or as mayor or whatever is I miss the challenge of helping to improve Worthington, especially in a common sense way, in a way that is fiscally responsible. It's so much fun when I can help a resident, help a group in town, help the business community. I am so into that, so thank you.
Michelle Evers.
I would seek this office because I want to shape a stronger future for Worthington. I've grown up here. I've raised my family here. It means a lot to me to be in Worthington. And I just want to make sure that we're doing what's in the best interest for Worthington. I've spent a decade in local government, making a strong commitment for fiscal responsibility, and giving me the opportunity to listen and to work collaboratively with the residents of Worthington. It has meant the world to me to go out and meet with neighbors that you might not have known that moved in, neighbors that you haven't had the opportunity to collaborate with previously. And these are very meaningful opportunities for me, and I just want to continue that.
Very good. We'll go with one final question and then prepare for some closing remarks. This one from the audience. What's the role, or should be the role, of the city attorney in Worthington? And let's see, Mike, you're starting off first.
Okay.
Mike Cooley.
The role as city attorney in many of the cities around us and similar to our size, the city attorney actually attends all the city council meetings. We've not seen that need in Worthington on the city council level. I think it goes straight to the great leadership we have in administration, and they're working with the city attorney on an everyday basis. And so I think how it's working in Worthington is good. Thank you.
Michelle Evers.
I have not had the privilege of working with the city attorney, but have had the opportunity to serve with our county attorney. He is there, he is providing insights, he is ensuring that we are doing things correctly. I think in the city of Worthington, as cannabis starts in this new year, we will find more and more opportunity where we need to have our city attorney at the forefront of our conversations in order to ensure that we're abiding by the right guidance and the right regulations.
Eugenio Lopez.
It's essential to every day, but when it comes to state and federal laws, that the city attorney is there for us to, that we are maintaining and we are abiding by those ever-changing legislative changes on the federal level and on the state level. And also that making sure that, you know, as laws changes, that we in Worthington can continue to adapt those changes.
Very good. We're going to start our closing remarks.
We're going to have one more question.
Oh, sure. Question from the floor, please.
Can you just ask it?
Please.
Who's going to write it?
So with this year's crazy weather this summer, we have flooding. And there's a lot of areas of Worthington that were underwater, and a lot of people who didn't have housing. How would you deal with a natural disaster situation like that if something like that happened again, or, you know, weather's unpredictable? So how would you handle a natural disaster like that?
Flooding, great question. Michelle, I guess you're first then.
All right, absolutely.
Thank
So part of my position is working in an emergency preparedness in public health or emergency management, working with alongside emergency management. And so we have been trained in what's called NIMS. I've been trained in NIMS 100, 200, 300, 400, 700, and 800. Very well versed in emergency management capabilities. And so it's really working as a team in your emergency operations center to ensure that you are having a streamline of concerns to the top and being able to react on those and be able to make the right calls at the right time in order to make sure that our residents stay safe.
Very good. Yeah, Eugenio Lopez.
This was once of a half a century of type flooding. Unfortunately, that happened this summer, and many of our neighbors here in Worthington were affected. You know, one of these situations is that was sump pumps. You know, many of our houses relied on the sewage system of Worthington, but unfortunately was overflown. So many of our homes were overflown. It's important to see what the city did, you know, to address the issue and how we can fix it to try to preventive for the future. And also at the same time, one of the things I'm really glad is the city declared a state of emergency. That people came here, they door knocked across every single home here in Worthington, which providing those in needs, especially for our underrepresented communities who didn't know that they were types of aids that would be there for help them to recover. So hopefully that we can, in the future, that we can at least mitigate the issues that were caused from the flooding and for future.
Mike Cooley?
Can I ask a question, Mike?
Well, we got one more question. Mike
Okay,
hasn't
well,
responded. Different
I just-
question?
Yeah, now this arena was built with sales tax half-cent.
Let's hold off till we get the flooding. Let
Okay.
Mike respond to flooding, and then we'll do another question. No? Very good.
Hold on there, Kitty. Flooding, first, we need to be proactive, and the city has gone through two major flood mitigation projects with funding that came from the state and the federal government, so we can prepare our city for that. The problem is in the downtown area, we had to build the capacity on the outside of the city and bringing that forward into the middle of the city. So, so that when we expand the middle, there's places for this water to go. So that's one way we can be prepared. The other way is the city has to have a comprehensive master plan to deal with these disasters. And I believe city administration, city employees, department heads all work together, and I believe they have that plan in place. Thank you.
All right, now, Ken Jansen.
This arena was built with half-cent sales tax money, if I'm correct. In addition to Memorial Auditorium, a lot of dollars were spent there. This half-cent sales tax cannot be used on the ice arena. Is there a reason for that?
Yes.
Anybody want to
There
respond
must be a reason.
on the current council?
The half-cent sales tax that we currently have is already obligated to projects that we're working on, like the aquatic center, the park improvements that we've done. Help me.
And there was a portion of it that was meant for.
Yeah. If we do have extra, we can put some towards that if that's an opportunity, but at this time, there's none available.
If I'm correct, it amounts to about $90,000 a month, doesn't it?
Is it 45?
It's down this year.
It's down a little bit this year than what it, yeah. So I don't have those numbers in front of me.
Let's, Mike Cooley, 30 seconds.
So when we did the project, say this one, for
Yeah,
instance,
the event center.
we build it and we bond to borrow the money. Then that bond is paid back with the half-cent sales tax receipts on a monthly basis. Okay? So like this last half-cent sales tax, number one, if we don't include the ice arena, when we go up to St. Paul and ask for the authorization, at that time, we can't come back into that half-cent sales tax initiative later on and pay for it. It has to be declared up front so that when the voters vote on it, they know what they're voting on. So, but that 90,000 is the figure that I've heard lately. And so, like the pool, the indoor field house, those types of things were all built, and we had to go out and bond for those and borrow to pay for them. Now we're paying them back with those receipts, tax receipts every month as a bond payment. So,
In fairness, does anyone else want to respond to that?
I actually want to respond to the flooding.
Oh, okay. Let's finish this one. We'll go to the flooding then. Any comments? Okay. So from the council, Amy, on the flooding.
I just want to say thank you to the employees of the city of Worthington that responded so well during the flood. They went above and beyond, never asked, it was like, where do you want us? They went and helped Wyndham, crew went and helped Wyndham. We did put some people up in hotels when they wasn't safe to stay at home. The response from the workers though was amazing. So we really appreciate that.
Thanks for that, Amy. All right. Unless there's other questions from the floor, we'll go into the closing comments.
Question.
Oh, yes.
Actually, a couple of questions. So you, and this is for the former and the current performer, you keep saying about transparency. Explain in fifth grade term how would transparency, especially with our communities of color, how would you show us your transparency in how you spend the money? And where does the money from the liquor store, why do you spend that? And why does the amenities more important than infrastructure? Sorry, big question.
Sure. So kind of lumped into one. Maybe Chris, are you okay starting with that? Chris Kilbach.
What was the last part of that?
So how does the amenities and the transparency and the communication all get lumped together?
And like what? Why are amenities more important than infrastructure? It seems like every voting session, infrastructure and transparency are talked about, and then nothing happens.
Yeah, I'm not sure that one is more important over the other. The challenge is being able to accomplish portions of that all at the same time. Sometimes you have to do in stages. There's been a real focus because of public input in the last 5 and even 10 years about that we didn't have the amenities in Worthington to attract people and businesses alike where people want to come work. And now, as you've heard and have experienced some of you yourselves, that the hot button issue is housing. We don't have enough housing. So as we work on building up business, building up amenities, whatever those might be that we've worked on, now we're having to deal with really the harvest of what we've done before is because people are living here, wanting to live here because it's a great place to live, but we don't have the housing stock for that. And transparency, every one of us is approachable to be asked of questions. If we don't know the answer, we go to the people that we can find the answer to, and we have a very smart and helpful staff within the city of Worthington, and whatever challenges is put before them and us as a team, a council, I think we hit it head on and try to be resourceful for our residents.
Dennis Weber, want to make a comment?
Well, currently on the infrastructure, every year we prioritize streets that need to be upgraded, and you try to prioritize which ones need to and what the budget's going to be allotted for each one of those. We're working on housing projects. We got a couple housing projects we're working on right now for the future. Transparency, I was appointed back in, I think, was it May? And I think we've only had one closed door work session where we had to, otherwise it's always on Cable 3. You're trying to be as open to the public so they know what's going on. And I think our phone numbers are out on the website, so I've had calls if people have concerns. So we're very reachable, and we want to be that way. So if there is concerns, people know who to call.
Amy Ernst?
Specifically, since they talked about amenities and infrastructure, we are putting more money towards the infrastructure every year. It's been a point of concentration that we are concentrating on the streets of the city of Worthington. Liquor store, the financials for the liquor store are on every city council packet. You can see exactly where that money is going to. The liquor store transfers $275,000 a year into the city budget, so that's helpful. Right now, the liquor store is also paying for the building that they're in and then redoing their parking lot. So some of their extra money is going there, and maybe in the future we can move some more of that liquor store money into the city coffers. Another thing we're doing is we have a cross-cultural advisory committee with different communities inside the city of Worthington. represented there, and we go and visit those different communities. We go to them and let them ask the questions of that committee. We have a city council representative on there along with community members, and it's been a really great way to bridge that gap of what the city does and like how do we communicate with our different cultures. We just try to be as transparent as possible and invite people to come and ask. We really want you there.
Thank you. Mike Cooley, it's your turn if you want to respond. Transparency, infrastructure,
And amenities.
communication.
Well, I'm not sure that one is more important than the other when it comes to amenities or infrastructure. The biggest difference between them is how they're funded and how we can pay for them. The amenities we can fund through the half-cent sales tax. But unfortunately, infrastructure at this moment in time can't be funded through half-cent sales taxes. So infrastructure gets put on the property tax burden, and it's tough to add significant amount of infrastructure that we really need. We just have to bite off and chew what we can here and there. You know, a great example is the contract maintenance on city streets. For years, it was around $300,000, $400,000 a year. Sometimes we didn't even do the projects that were scheduled that year. And we as a council didn't find out until after the year was done. And so we did that at that time. The thinking was we want to keep that tax levy as low as possible. But, you know, we find that we fell so far behind in street maintenance that we've had to more than double that in the last year or two. So it's not that city council isn't trying, they're trying hard. When it comes to transparency, you know, the Cross-Cultural Advisory Committee, the city has hired a communication specialist that works for us now. But any of those liquor store budgets or even the electrical budget, you know, they give us $600,000 a year to lower the tax levy. You know, so those budgets are all out there. Granted, it might be a little hard to find, but they're out there, so thank you.
Michelle Evers.
Yeah, I'd say infrastructure and transparency and all of those issues. Thank you, Leticia. Very good questions. But infrastructure, really, how many times in the winter are we making calls about our roads? We have a fantastic team that's clearing the roads, but those roads definitely do come to the top because it's definitely something that we all notice. Transparency, I've heard a lot of people say, go to committees. Wonderful, thank you. Anyone who is considering being on a committee, wonderful. Thank you very much for considering it. However, I think that what we really need to be doing is going out, as I have been, as I've almost met 400 different either people or left a literature at their home about my platforms, wanting more communication. We must meet people where they are at. We cannot accept that they will just come to us because they may not. We need to be on top of that. And I guess yesterday I listened to a city council meeting and would not have known that we want to have $100,000 put aside for our next amenity that we may want to pursue without listening to that meeting. So I think it takes a well-rounded approach. But I think that that is needed, and did want to have the opportunity to say as well, at this point in time, I would not be in favor of that hockey arena. Just so you're aware, there's a lot of legwork that needs to be done on large businesses supporting our tax base before that could be pursued.
Eugenio Lopez.
I believe that the infrastructure and amenities are both essential for vital for the future of Worthington. but at the same time, transparency is important. Many of our communities, especially our diverse communities, don't see hand in hand, the spreadsheets of exactly what is the expenditure of each year. It's important for what I see is going to where many of them who are rooted in deep Christian faith is going to their services, talking to them, seeing what is important, whether if it's construction, rebuilding our roads within, like, let's say on Oxford or on Clary or McMillan or Church Avenue and stuff like those, or amenities, what their children are lacking specifically. It's important that we show. At the same time, a respect to the city of Worthington, is like every month I see these like every end of the city council meeting, they have a recap. They have a recap in English, they also have a recap in Spanish. It's also important to like advertise those, to showing those people like a summary of what happened that day in the city council.
All right, some good questions from the floor. Does anyone else have any question they've been wanting to answer or get answered? I think with that, we'll move to the closing remarks, approximately a minute if you can, and we'll go all the way through. And again, the non-opposed members were gracious enough to be here. I do want to say it can be hard to be up here in front and even harder to share your opinions on items. So I want to thank them, and I think we should all take a minute and just thank the participants. So Mike Cooley, we'll start with your closing remarks.
Okay, thanks. Thank you all for coming and listening tonight. All of us up here, all we want to do is improve Worthington. But as for me, my major focus on City Council will be economic development. I've always felt that if a community can do a great job in this area, we will grow our tax base and lower the tax burden on property taxpayers. We will bring increased funding to pay for new amenities that improves our lives. We will bring new businesses for our residents to explore and enjoy. And we will give Worthington a brighter future. I am asking for your vote to represent Ward 2 on the Worthington City Council. Thank you.
Michelle Evers.
In closing, I want to extend a heartfelt thank you to each of you for being here tonight, especially with the presidential debate drawing attention elsewhere. Your commitment to engaging with our local issues and participating in this forum are truly valued, and it means a great deal to myself and to our community. I would also like to express my gratitude to Forward Worthington and the Governmental Affairs Committee for organizing this event, to Cable 3 for televising tonight's session so that everyone has the opportunity to make an informed vote. Your hard work and dedication to fostering community dialogue are deeply appreciated, and I am thankful for the chance to share my vision with you. To my fellow council candidates, thank you for your dedication to our city and for contributing to this important process. Your passion and commitment to our community are inspiring, and it has been a privilege to share this space with you. And to the City of Worthington, thank you for being a place where I have found so much meaning and purpose. Our community is truly special, and I am deeply proud to be part of it. As I seek your support for the City Council Ward 2 special election, I am driven by a strong desire to see Worthington thrive. My focus is on being fiscally responsible, attracting businesses to strengthen our local economy, and ensuring that everyone has access to affordable housing. I'm committed to listening to your concerns, representing your needs, and working tirelessly to make our city a place where all of us can succeed. Thank you once again for your time and trust. I look forward to continuing these conversations and working together to create a brighter future for Worthington. I hope to earn your vote and support in this election. Your voice, our future, together for a stronger Ward 2.
Eugenio Lopez.
Thank you. I want to thank the Government Affairs of Forward Worthington for hosting us tonight. I want to thank Mike Wool for moderating this forum. And I want to thank each and every one of you showing up here tonight. We all care about Worthington, and we want to make Worthington a better place, not just for now, but for the future. And I want to apologize also. I want to apologize that I know I'm young. I'm inexperienced, and the answers I've given tonight weren't as questions and answers that people were looking for. So, but it is part of a growing and learning, and I continue to learn and grow for the future of Worthington. And I also want to lastly think about my parents. My parents who emigrated to this country 25 years ago. They emigrated here. They chose Worthington to raise me and my two younger sisters, Worthington. They achieved the American dream, not just because of hard work and dedication, but because of the city of Worthington. And I want to give back to the community that has given me so much, and to give back, whether it is addressing the housing needs, whether it is addressing a spurring economic development here in Worthington, whether it is as construction of a new ice arena. That's what I hope to learn, to talk to voters in the coming weeks and months ahead. Thank you.
Thank you. And then to our unopposed, Chris Kilby.
Right, thank you. First of all, thanks for being here tonight or watching online tonight. We appreciate your participation in that way. I've heard a great exchange of ideas tonight on this panel. It's been fun to listen to, and I always enjoy listening to ideas, and it gets the wheels turning. So being a council member is an everyday challenge, not a hardship, mind you, but a challenge, a great challenge. And being a part of a great team, made up of a council, staff, and even resident participants that want to be included in making a difference and making Worthington a better place to live. We're working on those solutions to those challenges and the success of Worthington every day. So thank you for your confidence, for your friendship, and for your vote.
Dennis Weber.
Again, I want to thank everybody for coming. Cable 3, Mike Wolf for hosting or moderating this. Again, I think everyone up here wants the city to grow, and with growth comes a lot more opportunities to do a lot more things. It helps with the tax base and everything else. And again, I want to say thanks. Appreciate you all coming. I appreciate your vote this fall, and thank you for letting me have this opportunity.
Amy Ernst.
I just want to thank you for the opportunity to represent you in this great city of Worthington. And one of my goals is to have a culture of positivity and kindness for anyone who works, lives, or visits the city of Worthington, just to have a great place to be. And I look forward to this role in the next 4 years. Thank you.
Well, that concludes our forum. Thank you for your attendance. We mentioned the Government Affairs Committee, but Jim, Ken, and Zuby, thanks for all the efforts year after year in doing this, and Randy and your team for being here to record. Get on board.
Absolutely. Thank you, Mike.
Questions come out of nowhere. Huh?